It's a starry night in Syracuse because all the stars are out at the JMA Wireless Dome tonight for Syracuse's men's basketball season opener against Binghamton. As we bring you into the Dome right now alongside Riley Underwood, I'm Adam Avon. Riley, Syracuse and Binghamton, two local foes just facing off for only the 6th time ever. Exciting first thoughts from you.
Oh, it's excitement. You took the words right out of my mouth. A lot of excitement and buzz surrounding this Syracuse basketball team, and what better way to start it off than against in-state foe, the Binghamton Bearcats.
All right, well, it's Adrian Autry's 3rd year since he took over from legendary Syracuse head coach Jim Boeheim. After a down year in number 2, it's time for a bounce back for Syracuse, as a lot of fans think this could really be a make or break one.
I'd say exactly. I mean, he started off hotter than a lot of people would have expected, that 20-win season, then a downward year last year. But one thing about Adrian Autry, he's really an elite recruiter. He brings in a top 20 recruiting class in the country, and for a team that is not even close to making the NCAA tournament last year, that's just a testament to his skills on the road, bringing those players in. It's a really exciting squad.
And you know what? That's after a year 1 where this team did win 20 games. And so now in year 3, Syracuse and Adrian Autry hopes to get back to a place where it rightfully should. With all these new players on the team as well, who we're going to dive into in just a little bit. All these new players got to take the court for 2 exhibition games prior to tonight's season opener. This first one in Buffalo against the Bulls. And Riley, it was all the Kai and Anthony show early on, taking some nice jump shots from the baseline, getting things going for the Orange. It was transfer Tyler Betsy as well, getting the threes falling. He had 14 in that one. The shooting was something last year where you feel like they didn't have a lot of it, but this year they showed it early on. Syracuse fans excited to see some scoring.
The shooting was coming in bunches versus Buffalo, and the athleticism was really shown as well. This is a really athletic team from top to bottom. They can get out and run. I know people say not to put that much stock on exhibition games, but you can put a little bit of stock into it. It kept it a little more closer than they probably wanted to. It was a 2-point game against Pace at halftime. One thing they can't control, though, is you see that electric jam by Sadiq White. The free throw shooting was a bit of a concern. 50%, 14 from 28 versus Pace. They were under 60% for both those games combined. That's something that needs to be straightened out as they go into the regular season.
And what's something that we hear in the Syracuse area all the time? Free throws matter. Something that has struggled with Syracuse over the past couple of seasons. But scoring over 70 points in back-to-back exhibition games prior to tonight's season opener, something that they struggled to do even last year, getting to that 70-point mark, letting up from 3-point range as well. At least they weren't scared to take those shots, Riley. And now Syracuse has these guys that feel confident. They can take as many threes as they want, and they're going in.
And that 3-point disparity is something that is really interesting. Against Buffalo, Syracuse shot 41%. Against Pace in the Dome, 24%. It'll be interesting to see which team, shooting-wise, comes out today against Binghamton.
And a player who was very positive on the court for Syracuse was second-year guy Donnie Freeman, who was paired with J.J. Starling last year. He's a guy who could have gone to the draft, and he said, no, I'm going to stick with J.J., I'm going to stick with Coach Red and play my best for Syracuse in year number 2. Expect big things for Donnie Freeman this year.
Donnie Freeman's a guy that Syracuse really wanted to get back this year. A lot of people didn't think they were going to get him back. He comes back for his sophomore season, a player that missed the majority of last year, kind of shut down after 14 games, missed 19 games last year. He's a 5-star recruit, a really natural talent. He plays smooth, but one thing, he needs to play physical. He shot 33% from 3 last year, but when he gets into the mid-range and into the painted area, that's where he really makes his money.
And Donnie has talked about to the media, from Coach Red, we've heard it, how versatile he wants to be on the court. It looks like he's even gotten taller since last year, Riley, a guy who is 7 feet tall, who can shoot from 3, play physical, and continues to try and be more physical as hopefully this year goes on, now that he's back to full strength. But 13 points per game, almost averaged a double-double last year. You saw a little sense of it last week out against Pace. Big things from Donnie Freeman in year number 2.
Double-double watch every single game when number 1 is on the floor. And it's a guy you talked about. He's a long, almost 7-footer. I hate to say it, he almost reminds you of a guy named Kevin Durant. Get those scoring, shooting up a little bit. But he's just a smooth player. You watch him, so natural. In terms of natural basketball skill, he's up at the top for Syracuse.
100%. I think he has a little bit of ways to wait before he gets to Kevin Durant status, but certainly one of the better players on this Syracuse basketball team, expecting a big jump up for him in year number 2. A reason why he came back is because he's continued to be paired with J.J. Starling, the veteran from last year's team, now in his fourth year of college basketball, third with the Orange. Just a player that Syracuse fans were excited to see take the court last year, and now once again back at full strength. He told us he's 100% healthy.
J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman, the only two scholarship players that returned for the Orange, but those are two really big players to get back.
For sure.
J.J. Starling, I mean, he's the leading returning scorer. He's a veteran presence on this otherwise kind of young-leaning team, but he was really glad they went out and got another guy to duo with him in the backcourt, and that's Nathan George from Georgia Tech, one of the best point guards in the country, frankly, coming into the transfer portal. He led the ACC in assists per game, over 6 per game. I mean, he's an elite passer, and I really like this pairing because it lets J.J. Starling play his natural 2 slot and lets Nathan George run the 1, run the point where he's really dangerous out in transition.
Well, you know what? Last year when JJ was off the court, it felt like the offense was a little bit stagnant, and he's not a guy who's incredibly ball dominant. He's a catch and shoot guy, but they had no facilitator to get him the ball last year, so now you're bringing a guy like Nathan George, who Coach Red said he didn't even think was going to enter the portal. That's how good of a facilitator and playmaker that he is. Now J.J. Starling and Donnie, quite frankly, have a guy who can get them the ball and put some buckets on the board for Syracuse.
And we didn't even talk about Nate George's scoring ability, almost 13 points a game for him, and he shot the ball very efficiently as well. He's a great player to run the point for Syracuse this year.
All right, well, we're going to see a lot of scoring this year from the Orange. At least they believe so and are confident in their shooting ability. You know, a couple of other confident guys, the 2 freshmen, Kyan Anthony and Sadiq White, 2 players that Syracuse fans are really excited about. But we have to start with Kyan. Riley, Carmelo Anthony's kid, who is now on the Syracuse team. Maybe we get a mellow appearance tonight. But Kyan, a really good shooter, one of the top recruits in New York State. Expect big things from Syracuse.
The #1 recruit in New York State, and it seems all that anyone can talk about for the Syracuse program is Kyan Anthony. They're talking about #7, and he's a real natural talent, a 4-star coming out of high school. And him and Sadiq White, those are 2 freshmen that are probably coming in with the highest expectations in recent memory for Syracuse. Anthony, the #1 player in New York, and Adrian Autry for Sadiq White, he says he just plays with some pop. That's exactly what he does. Him and Anthony are going to be a very dangerous duo. Sadiq White, he's high energy, has a very high vertical. He can go up and slam it on just about anybody.
Sadiq White, so athletic, and you see some of these dunks on the offensive end with the slam. But what he does on the defensive end, Riley, is what he's been talking about so much this offseason. And even though he's a 5-star freshman, sometimes to build the trust with your head coach, you need to bring that intensity on both sides of the ball. And Sadiq White seems to be really excited about the prospect of playing more because of his defensive ability.
These 2 players are players that play with a lot of grit. They play with a lot of intensity. And overall, they're just a fun pair to watch. We saw it in those exhibition games. It was the only one game for Sadiq White. He only played in the Pace game, was out with an upper body injury versus Buffalo, but we got to see sneak peeks of him, and today is where we really see it all go down on the court.
If everyone on this team is healthy, Coach Red thinks this team can go all the way, and we're going to get our first look at it tonight against Binghamton in the Dome for this men's basketball season opener. Stay with us as we continue to break down this matchup. The band is playing and the seats are being filled as they take Syracuse and Binghamton for the first time in the Dome this year. Welcome back into the Dome with Riley Underwood. I'm Adam Avon, and Riley, let's start between Syracuse and Binghamton, now playing for just the 6th time ever between the 2 programs. But if we take a look at the last 4, it's been all dominance from Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse 5-0 all time against the Bearcats. Last time these 2 teams met, Jordan Reed, he dropped 26 for the Bearcats. It wasn't enough. CJ Fair had 19. Trevor Cooney had 17. And if you're a kid in Syracuse growing up during this period, you remember practicing in the driveway your Trevor Cooney 3-point run and gun 3-point shots. That was an exciting squad.
And you know what happened in 2003 when Syracuse beat Binghamton? I think they won the national championship with a guy named Carmelo Anthony on their team, and this year they have a relative of him in Kyan. Maybe if they beat Binghamton tonight, that's a telltale to go all the way this year. I'm just playing, but we'll see what happens tonight on the court against Binghamton. But for the Bearcats, with head coach Lavelle Sanders now in his 5th season, it's been constant improvement over the past 3 years. Binghamton finally feels like they're at a place where they can compete in their conference. Just 7-9 last year, but a lot of positives looking forward.
Well, it's a team that's been improving year over year, but still, it's a Binghamton team that's been struggling to find their footing since they've joined Division I 25 years ago. They've only had 2 winning seasons in their D1 history, only one time making the NCAA tournament. Right. That was back in 2009. So the Bearcats looking to make a big jump in year number 25 at the Division I level in the American East, where they think they can compete this year.
All right, well, drawing this Syracuse team with a lot of talent on it isn't going to be the easiest thing to do to kick off their season, but now they hope they have a little bit of help from an improved scorer in Wes Peterson, one of the lone returners from last year, all top 5 of the leading scorers, departed the program after last season. Wes Peterson, who averaged just about 7 points per game, Riley, expects to take a big jump up this year in terms of his role. It's
a really different looking team from last year. Wes Peterson, the leading returning scorer, and he's the 6th leading scorer, but he's a ball dominant point guard, really long, 6'6". One thing to note, he averages over 10 points a game in wins, less than 5 in losses.
All right, well, Syracuse is expected to bring that intensity tonight against Peterson, and he talked about earlier this year how he wants to be more of a consistent scorer on the floor. Shoots 39% from 3, really solid score from behind the arc, but just 50% from the floor in total. So, Riley, if you expect him to take that increased workload, you expect those shots to drop a little bit more.
I don't know about the shots drop. I'd like to see those assist numbers go up a little bit when he's running the point, and I know Peterson would as well, but you can expect an increased role from him this year as the 5 leading returning scorers are no longer returning. He's the only lone starter returning.
Well, we talk about what Peterson is going to have to do now for this Bearcats team, but let's talk about some of the other guys who they brought in this year. Coach Sanders had to do a lot of replacing on his team, and they brought in a few guys from other D1 schools that they feel like can help them win some games.
Demetrius Lilly is really the player that everyone around this Binghamton program seems to be talking about. He played limited minutes in 2 seasons at Penn State. He transfers to LaSalle, now finds himself at Binghamton, 6'9", 220. He's a big man down low. And Bryson Wilson, also a player who can explode for 20 if you let him get hot. He's a really good defensive player as well. One thing he wants to improve on is his 3-point shooting, shot just 24% from beyond the arc.
Well, with the intensity that Syracuse hopes to bring tonight, they might have to take some threes and maybe get some lucky with them falling. So the improvement definitely wants to be there, and we'll see if Binghamton can make some of those threes and compete tonight. Eric Devendorf, Syracuse legend, joins us after the break. We'll talk about this Syracuse team, Binghamton and Syracuse. We'll be right back. We're just minutes away from Syracuse and Binghamton. 7 o'clock tip-off from here inside the JMA Wireless Dome as the Orange kick off their season opener and try to secure that win. With Riley Underwood, I'm Adam Avon. And Riley, we've talked enough about this Syracuse team and this matchup with Binghamton, just us two. Let's bring in a guy who knows a little bit about Syracuse, our analyst for today's game, Eric Devendorf. Eric, thanks for joining us, my friend. Syracuse now done with 2 exhibition games, a lot that maybe for Syracuse fans and yourself would have liked to have seen from them a little bit more. Is there anything specific that you want them to do better tonight?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just compete for all 40 minutes. You know, we've seen 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but can they put a full 40 minutes together? This team is super talented. They have guys who could do a lot of different things on the floor, but I really want to see them compete the whole 40 minutes.
Eric, this is a really highly talented group of freshmen, top 20 class in the country. What can fans really expect to see from them early on?
Oh, I think you saw what Sadiq could do. He's a guy who, right when he steps on the floor, he's going to be impactful, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You see what Kai could do, a guy who could come in and score on all 3 levels. Be interested to see if Fennell gets any time, coming off the injury. But the 2 guys that you really can look to make an impact right away is Cayenne and Sadiq White.
A lot of roster turnover from last year. How have you seen the leadership develop? How important is that, and how has this team really been meshing through these first 2 exhibition games down to the regular season?
Well, I mean, they had all summer to be with each other in early fall to really develop a chemistry and a camaraderie. It could be, a different leader every single game. I think if guys are communicating, supporting each other, and that goes from the guys on the court to the guys on the bench. They got to support one another, you got to communicate, and they got to be engaged. You look for your better players to hopefully be the leaders, but with this group, they got a few guys who could really step up and be a leader. So it's just everybody being engaged and being together.
Eric, last one for you. You know how important the guard position is in terms of facilitating, but last year it felt like sometimes Syracuse didn't have the scoring across the floor. So when it comes to the new guards on the team this year and having JJ back, are you expecting to see a big jump up in shooting?
Well, I mean, they have a lot of different options. Like I said, they got guys who can shoot the ball, play make, drive the basketball. And the good thing is if one guy is not doing the job, they have another guy to come off the bench, and they don't lose a lot. So it's good to have those type of options. But this group is definitely a group who can score a lot of points and score in bunches.
All right, that's former Syracuse player Eric Diamandouros. Thanks, sir.
Appreciate you for having me.
All right, we will be right back from the Dome. We'll see you after the break to continue to give our final thoughts on this matchup between Syracuse and Binghamton. Stay with us. 10 minutes away from your first look at Syracuse basketball for the 2025-26 season. With Riley Underwood, I'm Adam Maven. Just minutes away from tip-off, Riley, but there is a lot to look forward to for the rest of the year. Past this Binghamton game, we got to take a look at the upcoming schedule for Syracuse.
Well, if you're Syracuse, you've got to get your wins now because Las Vegas is looming and it's coming up pretty quickly. You're getting to play two really, really good teams out of the Big 12. And then right after Las Vegas, Tennessee comes to town. That'll be a big ACC, SEC clash, so you got to take care of business in your first 4 games at the Dome. Well, not at the Dome for Drexel, but the other 3.
Yeah, Delaware State, Drexel, and Monmouth, 3 teams that Coach Red and the rest of the crew feel like they can win. And those other 2 contests between Houston and Kansas are not going to be easy ones to start off the year. Let's take a look at the starting 5 for Syracuse this year. And it looks like Coach Red is going with the same as always. So far this year, they got J.J. Starling and Nate George at the 1 and the 2 with Nate Kings, the new shooter they brought in from Oregon State at the 3, Donnie Freeman and William Kyle to round it out. Riley, a starting 5 you expect to continue to gel together throughout the season.
Nate King's a really elite shooter. You'll get to see that in action today. And Will Kyle, a big man that can really provide that presence down low on D.
All right, well, Riley, let's hear your players to watch for both Binghamton and Syracuse. We'll start with the Bearcats.
I think you got to go with Demetrius Lilly. I mean, this is a guy that was preseason All-American East. He comes in from LaSalle with high expectations, and he's going to have a big game today going up against the Syracuse Bigs. If Binghamton really wants to stay in this game and win the game, Demetrius Lilly is a guy I expect to have a big game. And for Syracuse on the other side, I think you got to go with Sadiq White. I mean, this guy is just a fun player to watch. He can jump out of the gym. He's going to go up, he'll dunk on you on one end, then block your shot on the other end. Sadiq White is a player to watch. He'll be coming off the bench with a lot of energy for Syracuse. I mean, it's just must-watch TV.
And no matter for these players who are transfers or grad students or freshmen, there's going to be a lot of talent on the floor for both sides. But Riley, for Syracuse, what do they have to do to get the win tonight?
I say you have to make your foul shots. We talked about it earlier. They shot 50% from the line against Pace. If you're playing against Binghamton, and that's something that you do when you play down to your opponent.
Right.
Syracuse doesn't want to do that. You need to make your foul shots if you're Syracuse. You also got to score in the paint. I could see William Kyle having a big game in this one. If he goes up, he's going to be going up banging with Demetrius Lilly. He could get a big maybe double-double watch for Will Kyle. I can see that happening.
And William Kyle, a guy who went to UCLA last year, got a little bit of run in the tournament. But Riley, it didn't seem like he got that playing time that he maybe thought when he first got there. A big part of the reason why he came to Syracuse is because Red Autry said that he believes in him to continue to bring that intensity on the floor. So we're going to see a lot of physicality from Kyle and the rest of Syracuse tonight. But Riley, what about Binghamton? If the Bearcats are going to try and get the win over against an Orange team that is now reloaded talent-wise, what do they have to do?
You can't let Will Kyle get a double-double. You got to crash the boards. I think that if Binghamton wants to win this game, Syracuse cannot win the rebound game by a wide margin, and Bearcats are a pretty good rebounding team relative to their conference last year. They were first in rebound margin last year, and I think also you just got to play within your means. I think we see a lot of teams that come into the Dome, come into play a Power 5 team, and I think they have to shoot a lot of threes early just to try and get the upset. That's not necessarily the case because you can easily shoot yourself out of the game if you do that.
100%.
Binghamton just has to play within their means, play how they practice, and really grind it out. You got to out-physical Syracuse if you're going to win this game if you're the Bearcats.
Physicality is key, and for Syracuse, having that shooting back this year is really important. quickly, Riley, Nate Kings, we saw him during warm-ups, made maybe 25 straight three-pointers, a shooter they need to get the ball to tonight.
Comes over from Morgan State, shot 45% from beyond the arc, and he's lights out from the corner.
Really
Going to three. I mean, they're just going to keep coming in bunches for Nate Kings. If Binghamton does not get a hand up, it's critical. Nate King's a big-time player playing that small forward position. He could even shift into that too if need be.
Right, Syracuse has those new guys trying to mesh with Donnie and JJ, the returners from last year. Excited to see what's going to take place in the Dome. As you see the lights turn down, things are getting ready.
Time, baby.
It is game time for Syracuse and Binghamton, this men's basketball season opener. We send it off to the Dome with Matt Park and Eric Devendorf. For Riley Underwood, I'm Adam Avon saying so long and enjoy the game. Syracuse up 18 at the half, 32-14 lead over the Binghamton Bearcats in its season opener to kick off the 2025-26 season. Welcome back into the Dome, Riley Underwood, Adam Avon here with you. Riley, Syracuse 32 points, a 10-0 run to kick off the game, but they probably could have scored a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hot start for Syracuse early. They were just blowing them out. But you got to hit your three-point shots. Both teams do a combined 2 for 20 between the Bearcats and the Orange. Shots just not falling.
And we're going to talk about the three-pointers in just a little bit. But the big man domination from Donnie Freeman and William Kyle. We saw Tyler Betsy get involved throughout the half. These bigger guys who brought the physicality early on. Nate George, because of the blocking of William Kyle and everything he's been able to do, really helped everybody out.
Yeah, and then the oop. Will Kyle finishes it off. He was doing it on both sides of the ball. And then J.J. Starling going out for an injury. We have not seen him return to the game. We saw him on the bench with the towel over his head. Not a good look. First game of the season, J.J. Starling going out.
Yeah, Starling has yet to return to the game. Sat out the majority of the first half after exiting. But Tyler Betsy and the rest of the crew, Riley, carried the load. Some of the transfers. Yeah, Nate George finding the oop to William Kyle. Both of these guys, the transfer to the transfer, getting involved. Binghamton tried to get things going, but ultimately Nate George just kept dominating.
Nate George, he has some fast hands, man. You got to see it firsthand here in the Dome. I mean, the defense was just suffocating. Good rebound, and then Donnie Freeman getting down free and finishing in transition.
One of the biggest plays that got the Dome hyped. This one as well. William Kyle showing the athleticism, jumping up above the defense. And this was the first three that Syracuse got. Tyler Betsy late in the first half got things going for the Orange. Continued their big 32-14 lead. And Riley, we talked about that three-point shooting for both teams. 1 for 12 for Syracuse. A lot of intensity, though, that you like to see from Syracuse in that first half. But if those shots kept falling, can't harp on it enough how bigger this lead would be.
And how about the pure shot volume that Syracuse is getting off? 14 more shots. Binghamton's only made 5 field goals.
Right.
I mean, Binghamton needs to get some points on the board. They're on pace to score 28 points.
Well,
I mean, plain and simple. You're coming into your first game of the season. You've got to start off hot, and they just haven't done that so far.
Well, they haven't done that so far because of some of the intensity that Syracuse has brought, and we mentioned Donnie Freeman and William Kyle as well, 2 guys getting involved right now in that first half. Freeman early on, though, Riley, was exceptional. Down low, using his body, something that we haven't seen since the back half of last season because he was out due to injury, and then Kyle getting involved, stuff you love to see early on if you're a Syracuse fan.
I mean, Kyle and Freeman, these are 2 very athletic bigs. You might not find a more athletic big pairing in the ACC. William Kyle can jump with the best of them, and Donnie Freeman showing you that He can too, getting the crowd on its feet. These are 2 very talented bigs, and they started off they set the tone early for Syracuse.
They got a quarter of Syracuse's points, 8 and 6 for Freeman and Kyle respectively. 2 guys that have been dominating down low against the Binghamton team that really hasn't gotten anything going in the paint. And Sadiq White has yet to get started going too. Tyler Betsy's starting to get things going as well at the end of the half, making that first 3, Riley. And so you see the big men starting to finally get things going in an orange uniform, some of them for the first time. And speaking of for the first time, there might be a little bit of nerves right here in the building because Syracuse is having some trouble hitting those threes beyond the arc. It was an issue last year for Syracuse, and once again in that first half, started off with 10 missed threes until that Tyler Betsy one you saw in our highlights.
Yeah, 1 for 12 entering halftime for Syracuse. It's just not falling. I mean, air balls, unlike this Orange team, usually they shot it so hot against Buffalo, but they didn't shoot it so hot against Pace. And you can talk about that depth perception being in the Dome, but Syracuse practices in the Dome. They're used to this. That's understandable for Binghamton not to be. Don't get me wrong, they've had to looks. They just haven't been falling.
Donnie Freeman there missing the shot. Syracuse getting the opportunities and some wide open. We saw them in warm-ups. They can hit these shots. Syracuse hopes to do it after the half. We bring on a special guest right after the break. You don't want to miss it. Sean McDonough joins the set. Stay with us. All right, Syracuse up 32-14 at the half. The Binghamton Bearcats struggling to get things going on either side of the ball. Syracuse with some domination early on. And we bring on one of the more dominant Syracuse broadcasters of all time, ESPN broadcaster Sean McDonough. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Adam. Riley, good to see you guys.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. And I know Syracuse basketball trying to get back to a place where it once was. Now they have a lot of new talent on the team this year. After your first half thoughts of this team, what do you expect?
Well, I think we're probably leading the country in scoring defense and field goal percentage defense right now, and maybe turnovers created. So, you know, they're off to a good start. You know, I was told by some of my friends who are here for the exhibition game against Pace that they didn't look very good. So, obviously, they look better tonight. I'm encouraged. I think the one thing I noticed just being here and watching this team in person for the first time is definitely more athletic than some of the teams in the last couple of years, and it looks like they're a little deeper too.
Yeah, I think Syracuse probably one of the most athletic teams in the ACC on paper entering this year. Is there another ACC team that may be a little underrated that you could see making a run later on in the season?
I would have to make it up because I don't really follow it that closely anymore. I'll just blurt out a name. No, I'm kidding. I really don't know. You know, I don't do the college basketball anymore, so most of my focus is on college football or hockey. So I pay attention to it as a fan, which is the fun part about being here tonight, Riley, because, you know, as you know, you guys are prepared for this. I didn't have to do anything tonight. I didn't have to worry about names, numbers, storytelling.
You got to sit courtside. You got a good view of it.
I was part of an experiment. They have a app now, what do they call it, QR code, where you can order food at the fancy courtside seats. And John Wildhack wanted to test it out. So I got a hot dog, and it came in an instant. And it was a good hot dog. If you're coming to the Dome, I highly recommend them.
You're getting the full courtside treatment here. I mean, You're an alumni. They brought you back. You're sitting courtside. Syracuse football, though, also plays in the Dome, and they've been struggling this year. Fran Brown and company, a good year last year. You expect them to bounce back?
Not without a quarterback. You know, it's a shame that Angeli got hurt because I think he's a really good, I know he's a really good player, and I think everybody saw that in the games that he played. And I was excited when he came here. I did the game at Notre Dame, the college football playoff semifinal against Penn State when he was at Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, and he really turned that game around. He came in late in the first half and led them down the field. And so I was excited when he came here, and I'm excited to watch him play. But if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win in football. It's kind of like a goalie in hockey.
Well, you're here, you're sitting courtside at the Binghamton-Syracuse game, but I know that's not all you came for. You're for the Marty Glickman Awards tomorrow night. You're a past winner, so tell me a little bit about that and the festivities that'll be going on tomorrow.
Well, I was going to say I was a past winner because they ran out of deserving honorees like Marv Albert and Bob Costas and Mike Tirico. Actually, it was one of the great honors of my life because, you know, when I came here as a student, you hoped someday when they list off all the great sports broadcasters who went here that they loop you in with Marv Albert and Bob Costas and Dick Stockton. Those guys were the reasons I came here. So now that you won an award that they picked the winner, the previous winners picked the winner. So Marv Albert thought I should win that award. You know, that was awesome. So really proud of Matt Park, as you guys know, not just an excellent broadcaster, but Marty Glickman was a mentor and a broadcasting coach, and obviously with the teaching that Matt's doing at Newhouse, he's mentoring a lot of you guys and doing a great job with that. So I think all of the former winners are going to be here, which is awesome.
Well, Sean, I got to ask you, because the Glickman Awards, you mentioned a lot of alumni coming back. I got to ask you, what were some of the most memories that you had, your favorite memories from when you were here as an up-and-coming broadcaster, maybe some of the mentors that you learned along the way?
Oh, yeah, well, that's one of the great things, and you guys are probably experiencing this already, Adam, that, the alumni are so generous with their time and so encouraging to the people who are coming after. I spent a couple hours at WAER today, and I had a great time, and it brought back a lot of memories. I remember Dick Stockton came and spoke to us at Newhouse one day, and I thought, oh my God, one day if I could just be anything like Dick Stockton, that would be so awesome. So I think it's important to all of us to come back, and here's how old I am. My freshman year on campus here, The first game in the Dome was my freshman year in 1980. Yes. I'm still way younger than Coach Boeheim. Shout out to Jim and Julie. I know they're watching tonight. Coach Boeheim's first year on campus in 1962 was the year I was born, so I'm infinitely younger and always will be.
So when you come back to Syracuse, are there any good spots you have to hit while you're in town?
You know what? I think the spots that I used to go to aren't there anymore. I walk around, I'm kind of depressed. But there's always, I always go to the Varsity, right? You got to go to the Varsity, have a slice of pizza. They had the WAR Hall of Fame induction this past weekend. You and I couldn't be here because we were busy working. But they sent me a video and some pictures, because Greg Papa, who was a classmate of mine, a really dear friend, he was one of the honorees. So they were all at the Varsity. So I texted them after we were done with our game, and I said, I want to buy you guys a picture. Well, I got the bill. It was more than one pitcher, I can promise you that, because I know that one of the great things about Varsity, it's not that expensive.
Well, Sean, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down with us. We know how important Syracuse is to you, and it should be a fun event tomorrow with the Marty Glick Awards.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Great to see you guys. It's truly one of the greatest blessings in my life was having gone to school here and to retain the connection. So to be greeted so warmly here tonight was really cool.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back on our ACC Network halftime report. Syracuse up 18 over Binghamton at the half. Few final minutes here until we get back to action for the second half. Syracuse and Binghamton, and a fun first half, Riley, that was a little bit slow, got a little bit to get started, but Nathan George had to be one of the standouts from that first half.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. And it's not just the scoring production, he does it on all facets of the ball. 4 steals from him in the first half, 4 assists. I mean, he has quick hands, great instincts. That's a guy you want handling the ball for you. Number 11 has been on fire in this first half, doing the little things.
I mean, he is quickly impressing the Syracuse fans that heard about this guy who was one of the top passers in the ACC, certainly making things easier for Donnie Freeman and company.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that takes a weight off your shoulders. And the big men, Donnie Freeman and Will Kyle, they have been showing out early, but it's Nate George that really sets up those fast break opportunities for him and does the little things. I keep saying it's the little things, Adam.
Right, and with no J.J. Starling potentially in the second half, Nate George is going to continue to step up. We return you back to action courtside with Matt Park and Eric Devendorf. Enjoy the second half, and we'll see you later. The crowd shuffling out of the JMA Dome after a dominant Syracuse 85-47 victory. And Riley Underwood joins me in the Dome. Everybody shuffling out. What a Syracuse performance. Riley, the fans cheering at the end to bring in the walk-ons off the bench, because let's get the starters out there. Let's see them for the rest of the year.
That was the type of game. This one ended up being Syracuse, a dominating win, and they ended up, Adrian Autry just wanted to keep his starters in because this is a game, you only have a few more games before you go to Las Vegas, a big-time tournament in Nevada. I mean, there's only so many tune-up games you have before you get into the real deal.
And we talk about the intensity with this team, such a shift from last year in keeping close games against opponents that team probably should have beaten. But in this season opener against Binghamton, Riley, dominant performance against the Bearcats.
And one of those dominant players, Nathan George.
Nathan George, who joins us right now. Nate, thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate it. 85 points in the season opener for you guys. How does it feel to really get a big team win?
Sure, it feels really good because we put in all the work to get here, so now the work's just reflected, and it's a reflection of coach as well for pushing us throughout the summer and the offseason.
Nate, 8 assists, 5 steals. Looked like you were really seeing the court well today. How much do you pride yourself on making those unsung plays?
Oh, shoot, that's really what my game is, and that's what I live for and what I play for. I love making that extra pass or just making a play, like getting assists. So, yeah, that's really my game, and I live for moments like that.
All right, Nathan George, a great debut in orange. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Riley, we can't talk enough about what he did today. Steals, rebounds, assists, and the scoring. He did it all for Syracuse.
Red Autry looks like he went out and found himself a point guard from in-conference opponent Georgia Tech. He was doing it with the scoring, another putback there. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to wow you with his intangibles, walking off the bus. He's just a true good basketball player and a guy you really like being teammates with.
As social media would say, he has the dog in him. Pulling up, taking those deep jumpers, driving to the lane, boxing out, getting those boards, and attacking the ball defensively, creating opportunities on the offensive end, which is what Syracuse has missed for so long, Riley, the defense into offense transition.
He's got good hands and great instincts, 8-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio.
Right.
You can't ask for much better out of your point guard, and he really played his role well. Nate George is going to be a really exciting player to watch going forward.
And you can't take away the win and his performance just because of the opponent. If he keeps this up, that is going to be exactly the point guard that Syracuse fans hoped they would have this season. We'll be right back after the break. We'll bring you the highlights from this game and talk all about Syracuse basketball for the rest of the season. Stay with us. In the house, Boeheim built. It was Autry's crew that did the domination today. 85-47 in the season opener for Syracuse men's basketball. Riley Underwood and Adam Avon here with you. And Riley, we can talk about the win in itself, but I think a much bigger picture in the outlook for the rest of the season. Good teams beat up on the bad teams. And last year in Syracuse's season opener against Lemoyne, the game following against Youngstown State going to double overtime. Today, this team did exactly what it needed to do to kick off its season.
Is 38 points enough for you? I mean, I know that's a blowout, but honestly, when you look back at this game, Syracuse had the opportunity to win by a whole lot more. A lot of missed shots, a lot of missed opportunities, but still, a 38-point win in the season opener, that's got to make you feel good.
And if they had their guy J.J. Starling on the court for this one, Riley, they might have scored a lot more points than they did. Starling left the first half with an injury, exited the game. It looked like it was his ankle from a little far away. Got it twisted when he was driving to the hoop, finding William Kyle the play early on, but unfortunately he was hobbling to the locker room. Not anything you want to see from the guy you expected to make that 100% healthy return, and ended up leaving the game, didn't play the rest of it.
I mean, that's rough, playing less than 3 minutes in your opening game, then you go down with an injury. We hope he's going to be okay, but that'd be a big loss. It was a big loss today for Syracuse.
And Syracuse was still able to put up 85 points in this one. Let's show you the highlights, even without J.J. Starling and what this team was able to do. It started off with the guy that we interviewed earlier, Nate George, who got his own rebound, put back, had all the Syracuse fans sitting down from the jump. You know, everybody is always up clapping, and they got back out of their seats after this one. William Kyle, the UCLA transfer, got the Dome hype, and right away, the life was sucked out of it for a little bit. When J.J. Starling exited the game, we saw him return to the bench like we just mentioned, but didn't play the rest of it.
Yeah, and you want some more energy after that? I mean, you got to go with all the Syracuse players. Tyler Betsy, a little mid-range J. He was shooting a lot of those today. One thing about Tyler Betsy, he likes to shoot, and Nate George likes to set up his teammates. Will Kyle, he had a lot of those alley-oop slams. And then on the other end, George, just a menace on defense.
I mean, we could do a whole highlight compilation of just William Kyle slams from this game, and Syracuse fans would be like, oh, we got a guy. We got a dog on this team. Same with Donnie Freeman, attacking all day long, coast to coast, dunk after dunk, lob after lob. Nate George continuing to get the offense involved. We forgot to mention, too, this was a team that jumped out to a 10-0 lead. It was dominant, not only offensively, but defensively from the very beginning. But that was actually the first three of the game, Riley. Instead of starting 10-0 on the court, they shot 0 of 10 from three.
Syracuse, I mean, they got on him. They stepped on him throughout the whole game. One thing, that three-point shooting, that was something that did not go well for the Orange. They just could not get anything going all game long. Kyan Anthony, smooth finish to the lane, and he was really impressive, especially coming on in the second half.
I mean, we all saw this shot, the push off, the fadeaway, and went, wow, that is shades of an Anthony for sure. That got the Dome hype out of its seats, and so did this play on the following possession. Anthony with the lob to Kyle basically put the nail in the coffin. Sadiq White got started late in this one, but good effort from the five-star all day long. Anthony once again tagging on a three. Everybody in this game, Riley, was getting involved, and that was something that Syracuse has felt like it's been missing. But in an opening game to kick off its season, despite a poor performance from three, 85 points, and everybody touching the ball and scoring had to feel good.
I mean, you saw how many Will Kyle alley-oop slams there were. You want to know how many there were that we didn't show you? A lot. That's your hint for you. That was pretty much the recipe all game long. No one was stopping that pick and roll. Nate George, everyone was feeding Will Kyle. He was really a beast down low.
And a lot of the highlights in that second half was Kyan Anthony, who was one of the top scorers for Syracuse today. I don't think if it wasn't for JJ's injury, he might have been playing that whole time, Riley, but he made the most of his time when he was on the floor.
Kyan Anthony, yeah, he sure did make the most of his time, and the crowd was absolutely loving it. When he checked into the game for the first time, it was almost a standing ovation.
It was
the dome
hysteria
was rocking.
here. It was crazy. Everybody was cheering 7. We want Kyan. Oh, it was awesome.
I mean, I saw people in here with 7 jerseys. I don't even know how you got a pre-order? How did they get here so fast?
I don't know, but we saw some great shot creation in this game. Not only his ability to facilitate and find open spots, but the way that he was cutting and creating good spacing for his teammates was something that you love to see, especially with JJ Starling out, but him and Nate George really got on the same page.
Efficient, 60% shooting, 15 points in 28 minutes. Not too bad for your collegiate debut, especially in a big-time win by 38 points. Kyan Anthony, he was really a baller today, showing out. Dare I say it was a quiet 15 points, if that's
really
possible.
Was.
I mean, you look down the stats, oh my goodness, Kyan Anthony already has 15 points. It was a great debut for him, and the fans were loving it.
It really was. Kyan Anthony did it all for Syracuse today and got everybody up out of their seats, and in the house that his dad played in, got to show some shades of him as well. But it was the bigs, Riley, who in the first half got things going for the Orange, got out to that 10-0 lead. We talked about William Kyle and Donnie Freeman, who's here for his second year, really got things kicked off early.
Yeah, Donnie Freeman finished with 20 points. That led the team. Kyle finished right behind him with 16, but those two players playing at the 4 and 5 positions, they were dominant all game long. Kyle finishing those lobs, and Freeman really smooth with the jumpers. I mean, look at that vertical number 42 has.
I mean, when was the last time we were seeing point guards on this team throw the ball up half court and just say, hey, I know somebody's down there. Hey, Kyan, I'm going to throw it up to William Kyle, who's just surfing on the floor, right? I mean, these guys were jumping over everybody, but Riley, it's not even about the athleticism, it's about the intensity. They were pushing off against the Binghamton players to create space and create shot opportunities, and what they did tonight cannot be understated.
And sometimes when players play that aggressively, play that physically, sometimes missed shots come along with that. Not the case today. A combined 4 missed shots for both of them. Kyle went 8 for 9, uber efficient night for him. Both those bigs really nice for Syracuse, and we talked about it. You got to play physical. You got to play physical. They did play physical, and it worked to their advantage.
Well, it's the returner in Freeman and the transfer in Kyle who did it all for Syracuse today and helped them get this 38-point victory in the season opener. Stay with us. We'll talk more. Well, it's about that time to start heading to bed, and a lot of Syracuse fans are going to sleep a lot better tonight with a dominant 38 performance win over the Binghamton Bearcats. Riley Underwood, Adam Avon here with you. Riley, they're breaking down the dome behind us. They're getting ready for some other events and things, so I think it's time that we send it out of the dome for a sport that doesn't play in here. We're going to send it back to our studio with Sydney Chan, who's going to talk about the field hockey team and what they're up to.
Thanks, Adam. Number 9 Syracuse field hockey closed its regular season this weekend, and now it's all eyes on postseason play as the ACC tournament kicks off tomorrow. In the final game of the ACC slate, SU fell to Louisville 3-2, dropping the Cuse to the number 6 seed for this year's conference championship. It was the Cardinals' first win over the Orange in 4 meetings, locking up their own spot as the 8th seed. Despite outshooting Louisville 14-7, earning 6 more penalty corners and pulling goalkeeper Tane King for an extra field player with under 7 minutes left in regulation, Syracuse couldn't find the equalizer. All 5 of the Orange's conference losses this season came by just 1 goal. Next up, the postseason. Syracuse faces 3rd-seeded Wake Forest tomorrow at 6, a rematch of an overtime heartbreaker earlier this year. The winner of that game gets 2nd-seeded Virginia on Wednesday. North Carolina, Virginia, and Wake Forest all finished 7-1 to share the regular season title, with UNC grabbing that top speed on goal differential. The Tar Heels open the tournament against Louisville as they chase a 9th straight ACC crown. So the bracket's set and postseason play begins tomorrow in Louisville. The Orange will try to make a statement and boost their NCAA tournament resume ahead of Selection Sunday on the 9th. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Cindy. Great work this season covering Syracuse field hockey, a program that is trying to get back to championship contention, Riley, where they were a decade ago, taking it all the way home, and now ACC tournament getting started. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, it sure is, and they have a superstar in Bo Von Kempen. And if there's any year that Syracuse could maybe replicate that, it's 10 years after. It's this year. I mean, they are really an exciting team to watch, and they started off, times they were top 5 team in the country.
Yep.
This Syracuse field hockey team is legit, and the fact that they're a 6th seed in the ACC tournament, that's a 6th seed you do not want to face down the stretch.
Look, we got a field hockey expert here, too, but I know you're an expert at a lot of the sports on campus, Riley, so let's take it around the hill to all the other sports that are going on in the 3-1-5, and we start with the one that is the ones that have already happened, excuse me. Well, we had on Halloween a scary one, Syracuse men's soccer getting into a close one with NC State, but they went away with a draw that one, and that put Syracuse in good position for the ACC tournament.
And Syracuse women's basketball back here in the Dome tomorrow at 7 p.m. playing host to Stony Brook. And early season was really where Syracuse women's basketball struggled last year after their first game of the season. They never got back above 500. So those early games for Syracuse women's basketball really crucial, and that starts tomorrow against the Seawolves.
Right, Syracuse women's basketball going to play in the Dome right behind us, looking to get a dominant win in its season opener as well. But our men's basketball team has a lot of exciting games coming up, Riley, but we have to take a look at all of the NCAA and some of the exciting games that are happening around the association. Riley, which game stands out to you? Hey, look at that, Youngstown State, the team that Syracuse went double overtime with just a year ago, but some other exciting ones taking place tonight.
Wake Forest up 10 in the second half versus American. I'll tell you, the Demon Deacons have a really good new transfer forward. Cooper Schwieger comes over from Valparaiso. He's hurt right now, early season injury. That could put a damper on their front court, but as the season goes on and the Orange have to face him, Schwieger's a primetime player.
Look at that. Oh, my God. NC State over North Carolina Central, 114 points. I don't care who you play in college basketball. That is a dominant performance. Quadir Copeland, former Syracuse basketball star who hit a game-winning shot against Miami a couple of years ago. Oh, what a performance that was, and what a performance it was for Will Wade's squad at NC State tonight. But Riley, in this Dome, plays Syracuse football, and they are going on the road this week to take on number 18 Miami. And standing by is Jazeline Salinas to talk about all the quarterback situation and what we should expect from Syracuse football heading on.
Thanks, Adam. Syracuse football fell to North Carolina 27-10 Friday on Halloween night in the Dome. While the score tells part of the story, the bigger headline was the huge change at quarterback. The Orange hope to find clarity under center before moving into the final stretch of ACC play. SU head coach Fran Brown made a change to start freshman walk-on Joseph Filardi over redshirt sophomore Ricky Collins, who has led the offense the past few weeks. Filardi earned the nod in practice, but that preparation didn't translate to production against UNC. Filardi led the offense most of the game, but struggled to find rhythm. He completed just 4 of his 18 throws. Freshman Luke Carney came in for one drive, but didn't attempt a pass before Filardi returned. Ricky Collins, who had started every game since Angeli's injury against Clemson in Week 4, never saw the field. In today's presser, Brown was asked about how he's approaching the position heading into this week's game.
We're going to go out to practice and we're going to compete our butts off, being able to play. Joe played last week. I'm hoping that he can be better than he was. Ricky's still on our football team, who does a good job in practice and pushing and going. Just trying to see if we can get that on the field.
At this point in the season, Syracuse needs stability, not rotation. The Cuse has now dropped 5 straight games for the 4th time since 2020. Whoever gets the start at quarterback for SU has the challenge of number 18 Miami on the road. Adam, Riley, back to you.
Now, Riley, I won't lie, I will be there this weekend watching the Syracuse-Miami game in person, and I do not think the prospects are too high right now.
Well, I know you're a Miami guy, so you were excited for this game regardless. But yeah, this could be a tough test. Going up against Miami, who's coming off a tough loss against Southern Methodist. But Miami's a team, if Syracuse ever wants to get back on track and be still in contention for bowl eligibility, you got to do it now. The time is now.
And you don't know who the quarterback is for Syracuse either. Hopefully the personnel gets under control. Fran Brown can make some tough decisions. But Adrian Autry has a lot of time to continue to shuffle around his roster as we continue to take a look at the upcoming schedule for the men's team. Coming up, Riley, we talked about some of the easy opponents that they might be playing. Delaware State, they play Drexel in Philadelphia. Return home to Monmouth before they face a tough Houston and Kansas squads in Vegas for the Players Era Men's Championship.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Adam. I don't know how much time he has to shuffle around those lineups. I mean, that Las Vegas tournament is coming up pretty quick. But again, you got to take it one game at a time like they did today. They didn't overlook Binghamton. You can't overlook Delaware State. You're going on the road to play Drexel. I mean, anything can happen. You can't be looking forward to the casinos down in Nevada just yet. You got to take care of business where you can. And Syracuse, they did today.
Well, they did it today, 85 points in what was a wild Syracuse season opening performance. We have our next studio show, though, coming up, and it's not basketball. It is men's soccer. It is on Wednesday when they face off in the ACC tournament against Virginia Tech, a men's soccer team looking to get back to its championship spot where it was just a couple years ago as well.
This is an exciting time for Syracuse men's soccer, and you know, one of the guys standing behind the camera, Nicholas Whaley, he was doing stats for the game today.
He's acting shy right now.
He's fired up right now for this game on Wednesday. A lot of excitement around the Syracuse men's soccer team, and Wednesday is where it happens.
All right, well, that's football. We talk the other football, but we keep it here in the Dome where Syracuse men's basketball had a wild Week 1 season opening performance. Riley, what are your first thoughts after seeing how Syracuse played in this game?
I mean, I think it's the defense. I mean, yeah, you say you put up 85 points, but you also only gave up 47 points.
Sure.
That was the least since 2022. So the defense was really big. 11 steals to Binghamton's 0 steals. 5 blocks for Syracuse. The defense just came up huge. I want to point out also after the game, you didn't see, Sadiq White was the only player afterwards putting up shots after the game was over, after he came back out of the locker room to get some warm-up shots. His debut, just 4 points, 2 for 7 field goals. He wasn't happy with that.
Right.
He's making some changes, getting the work in.
A lot of intensity. What a different vibe this Syracuse men's basketball team has, and what a win it got for its season opener, 85-47. For Riley Underwood, I'm Adam Avon saying so long and have a good night, Syracuse. Men's basketball gets a huge Week 1 win, 85-47 from the Dome.